most people lose power, not by being weak, but by wasting strength on battles that never needed to be fought. They argue to defend pride, not progress. They react to insults that change nothing. They confront people who hold no influence over their future. The Machiavellian mindset sees the bigger picture. You don't fight to prove you're right. You fight only when winning matters. A battle with no reward is a trap disguised as honor. The powerful do not seek victory in every conflict. They choose the few that alter position, resources, influence, or future advantage. You are not here to win noise. You are here to win outcomes. Others will provoke you, bait you, challenge you, hoping to pull you downward into wasted energy. They believe reaction equals strength. They believe volume equals dominance. They do not understand restraint. They do not see that real power is earned through selective engagement, through knowing which wars are beneath you and which ones demand your blade. You do not need to prove yourself to anyone who cannot change your path. You do not rise by fighting everything. You rise by fighting only what shifts the landscape beneath you. A smart person doesn't exhaust themselves trying to crush every critic. They conserve energy for the move that matters. They watch their opponents burn out while they remain untouched. They let noise die naturally while they stay focused on results. Fighting every battle makes you tired. Avoiding unnecessary battles makes you untouchable. Strength is not shown by force, it is shown by discipline. When you choose not to fight, it isn't because you are weak. It's because you know the battle holds nothing worth winning. If you reach this point, comment, "I fight only for victory," so I know you think like a strategist, not a reactor. Subscribe to Dark Psychology Blueprint, turn notifications on, and stay until the end. What comes next will show you exactly which battles build empires and which ones destroy kings. A reaction is a gift. Only give it when it buys you advantage. A reaction is not neutral, it is currency. The moment you respond, you invest your energy, your time, your focus, and your emotional bandwidth. If the reaction changes nothing, you wasted power. Smart people stop treating reaction as instinct and start treating it as strategy. Before responding, they ask one question: what do I gain by engaging? If the answer is nothing, silence is the response. They don't explain themselves to people who are not relevant to their future. They don't defend themselves to those already committed to misunderstanding them. They don't react to every insult, provocation, or challenge. Because most battles are invitations into conflict designed to drain strength, not advance position. A reaction is never free. It must be earned. When you treat reaction as currency, you stop being emotionally available to anyone who demands your attention. Someone trying to provoke you expects heat. Someone seeking control expects urgency. Someone playing manipulation expects guilt. When you give none of these, the entire strategy collapses. Your absence of reaction becomes punishment. They speak louder, push harder, escalate further, not because they are strong, but because silence exposes their need for control. You observe instead of respond. You evaluate instead of defend. You decide whether the situation serves your goals or only serves their ego. If it serves theirs, you deny them the satisfaction. You do not let others force movement from you. Only you decide when engagement is worth the cost. A reaction, given strategically, is a weapon. You speak only when the outcome shifts. You respond only when the answer redirects power, clarifies dominance, or prevents future disrespect. When reaction becomes selective, your voice gains weight. People notice when you speak because you don't speak often. They listen differently because silence is your default and words are your decision. The fewer reactions you offer, the more control you hold. Those who need an audience lose power when you don't participate. Those who need conflict lose purpose when you don't fight. You win by collapse, not collision. You win by restraint, not performance. You win because you understand that silence is not weakness, it is positioning. To react only when it benefits you is to stop playing the opponent's game and start controlling the board. You no longer respond to emotion, you respond to opportunity. You no longer defend pride, you defend progress. Not every battle deserves your presence. Not every conflict requires your voice. You give reaction only when it purchases advantage, strengthens position, increases influence, or closes the door on disrespect permanently. Everything else is ignored, not because you are passive, but because you are too focused on victory to waste movement on noise. Your pride wants every fight. Your strategy only wants profitable ones. Pride demands reaction. It pushes you to defend your name, your ego, your image in the eyes of people who often do not matter. Pride convinces you that every challenge must be answered, every criticism must be countered, every disrespect must be confronted. The Machiavellian mind sees the trap. Fighting without gain is not strength, it is insecurity disguised as courage. Smart individuals learn to separate impulse from objective. They evaluate conflict the way a strategist evaluates war, not emotionally, but economically. What will this battle cost? What will it return? What will change if I win? If the answer is nothing, the fight is irrelevant. Pride seeks victory. Strategy seeks value. The difference is the difference between wasted energy and accumulated power. Most people exhaust themselves trying to win meaningless confrontations, debates that change no outcome, arguments with people whose opinions carry no weight, emotional battles fought only to avoid looking weak. Strategy demands you accept something pride cannot tolerate. Not every conflict deserves resolution. Some are beneath you. Some are distractions. Some exist only to pull your attention away from goals that matter. Smart people do not chase respect from those who cannot offer opportunity. They do not argue with the loud, the ignorant, or the envious. They do not enter battles where victory leaves them in the same place they started. A profitable fight is one that moves you forward. Everything else is noise. When you ignore fights pride demands, you gain a form of power others rarely reach, control over your internal battlefield. You stop reacting and start selecting. You choose where to invest strength. You choose which conflicts transform your position. You choose when silence becomes more damaging than response. You allow your opponents to swing at air while you conserve strength for the strike that changes everything. People who fight everything burn out. People who fight strategically outlast everyone. Control of self is control of war. You win more battles by refusing them than by engaging them blindly, because restraint protects resources, and resources decide victory. You rise by choosing purpose over ego, outcome over emotion. The person who fights every battle dies tired. The one who fights only necessary battles builds dominance over time. When you accept that pride fights for reputation while strategy fights for result, you stop needing to be right. You start needing to win. The world remembers winners, not reactors. You keep your sword sheathed until the moment your strike reshapes the map, not just the moment your ego feels provoked. That is Machiavelli's warning, and the foundation of real power. Walking away is domination when the other side expected war. Conflict feeds on response. When someone provokes you, their power comes from the battle they hope you enter. They want your attention, your anger, your time, your focus. Because once you engage, you step into their arena. Most people fall into this trap because ego demands confrontation. They mistake noise for strength and believe that silence is submission. A Machiavellian mind thinks differently. You recognize that the most effective victory is often delivered without conflict at all. When you walk away, you deny the enemy the war they prepared for. You leave them armed with aggression, but no opponent. Their energy turns inward. Their certainty breaks. Their attack becomes useless. You win not by fighting, but by refusing to give them a battlefield. This tactic works because humans expect retaliation when they strike. They prepare arguments, defenses, counterattacks, emotional traps, and all of it falls apart when you give nothing back. You don't explain, retaliate, or validate. You step out of the frame, and with that absence, their strategy collapses. Walking away is not escape, it is decision. You decide the conflict is too small, the opponent too irrelevant, the outcome too trivial to justify engagement. You choose silence over reaction and results over noise. The other side is left performing for an audience that no longer exists. They rage into emptiness. Their aggression exposes insecurity. Their theatrics reveal desperation. You keep your strength intact, while they exhaust theirs. Publicly. When you walk away, you reframe power. You are no longer the one fighting for recognition. They are. You are no longer proving anything. They are. You hold authority not by dominating the opponent, but by showing the fight was beneath you. In that moment, they realize something they never expected. You do not need war to win. Power lies not in confrontation, but in deciding when confrontation is unworthy of your presence. Others begin to see you differently. You become unpredictable, unreadable, the one who chooses when battle is real and when it does not exist. Your silence becomes a verdict, your absence a sentence. They learn that conflict with you is costly, not because you attack, but because you don't. Domination is not always noise, force, or destruction. Sometimes domination is the refusal to give someone what they came for. When you walk away from a war someone planned for, you leave them powerless, directionless, defeated by their own anticipation. You did not need to strike. Their expectations struck them. That is the Machiavellian art. Victory through elevation, not confrontation. You win by stepping above the battlefield, not onto it. You win more by conserving strength than by proving it constantly. Weak men need to display power to feel it. Strong men preserve power and use it only when the outcome matters. Constant demonstration is insecurity disguised as confidence. It reveals anxiety, not authority. When you always show your ability, people learn how to counter you. They observe your patterns, test your reactions, and discover your limits. But a strategist understands that power is most effective when it is withheld. Not every moment deserves your effort. Not every challenge deserves your full force. You hold back. You observe quietly. And you calculate where strength delivers the greatest impact with the smallest expenditure. You do not waste your resources proving what you already know. You act only when action changes something. A person who reveals strength selectively becomes unpredictable. No one knows how far you can go, how hard you can hit, or how much pressure you can apply. You appear calm because you aren't performing. You appear composed because you aren't insecure. Your silence becomes tension. Your restraint becomes presence. The world cannot read you because you show nothing by default. When power is conserved instead of displayed, people fear your potential more than your expression. They imagine what you might do, and imagination is always more dangerous than reality. You become someone they hesitate to provoke because they do not know what you hold back. Conserved strength is leverage. It gives you stamina for battles that matter: political, emotional, strategic, social. While others burn themselves out defending pride, you remain patient. While they fight for attention, you prepare for opportunity. While they react to every slight, you wait for the single moment that shifts the entire balance. You remain sharper because your energy is not scattered across meaningless confrontations. You win because you understand something simple. Power used sparingly becomes power multiplied. A blade that remains sheathed stays sharper than one swung for show. Victory belongs to the one who chooses when to strike, not to the one who swings endlessly. You conserve strength for moments that produce advantage. A negotiation, a boundary, a reversal, a strategic move that alters influence. People who waste power must prove it again tomorrow. People who conserve power control the future. You rise not by constant force, but by selective force. You don't need to show power to own it. You only need to hold it until using it changes everything. Not every opponent is worth your time. Value is found in outcomes, not noise. Fools believe that every challenge must be confronted. They treat every critic like an enemy and every disagreement like war. The Machiavellian mind sees the futility in this. To fight someone is to acknowledge their relevance. To respond to noise is to accept it as equal to signal. A strategist measures opponents not by volume, but by consequence. The question is not, who challenged me, but what happens if I ignore them? If nothing changes, if your life, position, reputation, or progress remains untouched, then the opponent is not an opponent at all. They are distraction. You do not fight insects, not because you fear them, but because your time is too valuable. You do not lower yourself for visibility, you rise for impact. A battle that brings no power is not a battlefield, it is a circus. Most opposition is ego-driven, not strategic. People critique to feel tall, provoke to feel powerful, insult to feel significant. If you react, you confirm their importance. If you remain still, you expose their insignificance. When someone beneath you attacks, silence is not surrender. It is evaluation. Let them shout, let them perform, let them waste energy trying to draw blood from someone who no longer bleeds from small wounds. You watch with calm detachment and ask the question pride refuses to ask, if defeating them gives me nothing, why fight? The world believes that confrontation is bravery. Intelligence knows restraint is stronger. You protect your time like a king protects a throne. You give attention only where result exists. Value is found in outcomes, not noise, not emotion, not pride. You fight when victory elevates your influence. You engage only when a result changes the landscape. You confront only when silence harms your goals more than response does. Anything else is waste. The loud adversary who holds no leverage is irrelevant. The jealous critic with no control over your future is irrelevant. The petty rival who wants attention is irrelevant. You do not sharpen your sword against dull metal. You sharpen it for the battle that advances your reach, secures your respect, or protects your position. Strategy means refusing to spend power where no power can be gained. You rise by choosing your opponents the same way you choose investments, by return. You understand that dignity is not lost when you ignore the unimportant. It is multiplied. Walking past weakness is not cowardice, it is elevation. You are no longer drawn into conflict by ego. You are moved only by outcome. You fight for ground, not applause. You fight for leverage, not validation. You fight only when winning is profitable. Everything else dies in your silence. You do not rise by fighting everything. You rise by fighting what matters. You stop reacting to noise. Stop wasting strength on the small. Stop burning energy to prove something to people who hold no power over your future. Strategy replaces ego. Discipline replaces impulse. You move differently because you're no longer driven by pride, you're driven by outcome. This is the mindset most never reach. If you watched until the end, comment, I choose battles that build power so I can see who thinks like a strategist, not a reactor. Subscribe to Dark Psychology Blueprint, turn on notifications, and stay close. The next video will go even deeper into winning without force, controlling without words, and advancing without permission.